Alright, so here we are on the drum set, and the first thing we want to do is make sure we're comfortable and everything's set up for us, for your height, your body. So with the stool, the throne, what we want is we want to feel like we can really balance ourselves, nice and centered. The goal is you don't want your knees to be above your hips, you want your hips to be a little bit above your knees. So wider than the 90-degree angle. Yeah, because that's going to keep it so when you're playing the bass drum, you're not putting a lot of your weight into your lower back, which can cause back injuries. As well, just like weightlifting, you don't want your knee to be too far ahead, you want it to be behind where your toes are. So nice and comfortable. You want your pedals to kind of feel natural. So the bass drum's facing that way, but I'm not, because in this leg would kind of feel awkward. So you're almost facing diagonal towards your snare drum, which is right center between your two legs. Just find where, when you're sitting, where your feet would naturally fall. And then that's how you set up your hi-hat pedal. Actually, I'm going to adjust mine just a little bit so it's perfect. All right, snare height. We kind of want to play down on it a little bit. So I usually say just a little bit lower than my belly button, so that my hands are comfortable. If it's too high, you're using like either your elbows are going to start winging out, or you'll just like kind of, I don't know, try to compensate with using muscles you don't really need to use. So the goal is to just kind of be nice and relaxed, horizontal with your snare drum, feet are in a nice comfortable position, everything feels good. Hi-hat, I usually am about 6 inches above the snare to give myself some room. And you don't want to have to be like holding it weird, you know, no wings. So nice and comfortable. My hands are kind of like a little bit of an off-center X, and the closer they are together, the less likely they're going to kind of hit each other. So just kind of get comfortable. Since you're slanted, it should be fairly easy to get into this nice comfortable position. Do a couple of the You want your snare to be where you hit right in the center too, for your main hits. Eventually you'll learn to use the different parts of the snare to create different tones. But for the beginning beats, you're just trying to get a nice solid 2 and 4. So aim to hit that center and make sure your snare's not so high that you're hitting the rim when you're trying to hit the 2s. Okay, so I like to have everything nice and in reach, so my high tom is fairly close to my snare. Floor tom usually is equal or a little below the snare drum. I like a little below because it helps kind of getting back and forth. My ride cymbal, how I usually find its position is to where I can hit the bell without my arm being straight extended, where I'm kind of straight but I have a little bit of elbow bend. You don't want to be playing with your arms straight extended. So I just had to adjust and move my ride a little closer. Ride has many different areas you'll be hitting. You'll eventually get to know the edge is going to make a different sound than the bell or the mid part. Cymbals, you don't want them too high. You don't want to have to do wings to reach them. You never want them above your shoulder sockets, because that can cause injury as well. And you don't want where they're too far of a reach. Like, the smoothest you can move, the better you're playing. Because remember, even though drummers are the ones doing the most work, your drumsticks should be doing more work than you, and you shouldn't be in any position where you're feeling uncomfortable or pain when you sit down at your drum set. All right.